Okay, thank you. All right, it's Tuesday, November 19th. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:02. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous people of the Treaty 7 territory and the Otay-Pimisiwa Métis Government District 4. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our community. All right. Any additions or changes to the agenda? Can I get a motion?
Through Chair,
Councillor Vang.
I'll make the motion that the November 19th, 2024 agenda be accepted as prepared.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 3.1. November 5th, 2024 regular council meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Can I get a motion? Councillor Brennan.
I move that the minutes of the November 5th, 2024 regular council meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 3.2, November 13th, operating budget deliberation meeting. Any changes to those minutes? Can I get a motion, please?
Through the chair,
Councillor Lambert.
I'll make the motion that the minutes of the November 13th, 2024 operating budget deliberation meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 3.3, November 14th, capital budget deliberation meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Can I get a motion?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
Make the motion that the minutes of the November 14th, 2024 capital budget deliberation meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 4.1. Policy 2023-02, leasing of town facilities and lands. Director Russ Nash.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. Good evening, Council. So yes, before you, we have the leasing of town facilities and lands policy. This policy outlines details about the management, leasing, occupancy, and use of town facilities and lands, while aiming to ensure that leases align with the town's objectives, legal obligations, and community needs. This policy, as you may recall, was first brought forward in February of 2023 for Council's review and consideration, where Council provided administration with additional recommended changes to the policy. The following updates have been made to the draft policy. They include a definition of land reserve as defined within the Municipal Government Act. There's also included a definition of MR space, which is defined within our land use bylaw as municipal and institutional district, or MUN. We've added public benefit under the or within the definition of the local nonprofit groups. We've added a section regarding multiple requests and how the expression of interest application will be reviewed. There's a section added on license expiry and public advertising for the available facility or land. There's a section added on the main conditions to be included within an agreement. And lastly, there's an expression of interest form that was developed using the information under the eligibility and approval section. So administration believes this policy provides the framework for leasing of town facilities and lands, ensuring that the town assets effectively serve the community's interests. Moving forward, administration does recommend that Council accepts policy 2023-02, leasing of town facilities and lands. And with that, if there are any questions, I'm here to answer.
Great, thank you. Questions for Director Nash? Councillor Gustafson.
Through the chair. On section 3.13, multiple requests, is that the when it comes to that, is the choice made by committee or by one person? When it comes down to the the choice between multiple parties. So I guess where I'm getting at is how is it actually decided?
So it would be decided by ranking or I guess evaluating the expression of interest from each party based on those factors that are listed there. I don't know that it's been determined if there's going to be a committee or not, but it would definitely be reviewed by administration. And if discussions needed to be held among administration, then we would have those discussions.
I don't know if we need to add that in to make it very clear that, hey, this is, this is how we make our choices. Ultimately, if there's multiple parties interested in whatever.
So what I would say to that is, I think there's a difference between procedures and policy. And procedures don't land within policy, and that would be part of procedures. So I wonder what we can do is ask administration to bring back procedures to go along with the policy.
So is there no procedures with the policy? Is that not kind of part and parcel?
Through
No.
the chair, upon acceptance of the policy, then we would implement procedures to align with that. I mean, we could say that administration would review the expressions of interest and assign values and assessment on those expressions of interest based on the criteria within the policy. But being specific as to who those individuals are is something for sure that would fall more in a procedure under the administrative context. Policies are those that are defined and by council, and then procedures being more of the administrative component of that.
But also, I would also say, policy is more hierarchy with less of the detail on the doing, but with the intent of what, like council wants to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, through the chair, I guess where I was getting at is, yeah, these are all the rules, but this is how we follow the rules.
Mhm.
Here are the rules, but this is how we're going to play by the rules. I guess I don't see that.
Sure.
Through the chair, so I'll try to add a little extra context. I would say for each of the 6 factors that are identified here, there'll be very clear criteria that would stipulate what the rating would be. So it's not something that would lend itself extensively to, I guess, somebody's perception necessarily. We'll try to make it as calculated as possible so that the assessments can be very clear, understanding that if it's rated at a 5, it means this. If it's rated as a 1, it means this specifically. So there won't be a great deal of judgment by whoever on administration is completing the assessment. The factors will be very clearly articulated.
Fair enough.
Great question. Thank you. Any other questions for Director Nash? Deputy Mayor? Okay. Item 2.7. You talk about, that is a business or group that is committed to operating exclusively for social welfare. I'm unsure what that means, but I think I know what the intent of that is. In policy, I'm not sure if we should use the word exclusive. For one, I'm curious if we could change that, like take the exclusive for social welfare out and put in with the intent of providing public benefit or something around that wording. Would that give the same kind of intent that you were looking for?
Yeah, to the mayor. Yeah, I think that would get at the wording there. So would you like to take social welfare out as well?
I
Or just operating that is committed to operating with the intent of providing social welfare, public or social benefit.
Yeah, I would like to, take
Take out
social
social welfare.
welfare and exclusive.
Okay.
And just for the, within the intent for public benefit,
Certainly we
or
can,
public or social benefit. I'm okay with that wording, just not
Public.
the social welfare piece and the exclusive piece.
okay.
Through the chair,
Counselor
can
Gustafson.
you explain your reasoning why taking that out would be important to you?
Yeah, because I think it's about public benefit, and I think in documents like a policy, anytime you use the word exclusive, I think just it becomes exclusive, not inclusive. Do you know what I mean? So what we want to do is have this open for enough groups that are within town that maybe not be attached to social welfare, but they would be providing that public or social benefit to our community.
I don't quite see the intent of a local nonprofit is for social welfare. Is that not what we're trying to achieve here?
Well, I think that the intent might be for them, but we have to have some forms of being able to measure that on outcomes when we're deciding which group gets something or doesn't get a lease. And so when you put something like this into a policy, that can become an outcome or a measurement later on. But to measure exclusive for social welfare, that becomes really hard to measure.
Well, particularly when you read the rest of it, I mean, there's commas in there, so you could,
Yeah.
if you can take out any of those pieces between the commas. So now you're saying committed to operating exclusively for pleasure.
Right.
Do we, through the chair, do you have an example of who we would be excluding there? I'm just trying to figure out who what club in town.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about which club, but when it comes down to policy, you want to make sure that your policy is going to cover a bit of a broader area than a finite area, if that makes sense. That finiteness could come with procedures or something else. Okay, any other questions for Russ? Hang on 1 second, Russ. I just want to scroll down on 3.13. I think there was just should say town, not if the owner receives two. So just maybe do a double check on any spelling and grammar.
Yes, to the chair, I actually caught that one here before the
Excellent.
meeting this afternoon. So that has actually been corrected in the policy.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So on item 7D, and we're talking about insurance. And we talk about general insurance must be obtained by the lessee in an amount of less than 2 million, listing the town of Crossfield as an additional named insured related to the operation of the organizations on town-owned land. I didn't really see within this document, this lease document, anything about rentals and insurance related to rentals and or sublease. Or if we would allow sublease, and if we do allow sublease, then that sublease document has to be passed through the town first before it's approved. Rentals, I think, are fine, but to protect the town, I think that we should add a piece in there for rentals that we have to see that insurance piece from any rentals with the appropriate insurance for the use or event, however you want to put it. And that the town is additional insured on there as well, if that makes sense. And that way we can protect the town on our asset if in case something happened.
Sorry, making sure I'm writing some notes down for you. So to the chair, thank you. Yeah, we could probably write something in there for that. We're also trying to, with these conditions of agreement, trying to make sure that these ones were, that are listed specifically in the policy that are kind of general, that would apply to pretty well any lease that we have. Obviously for some of these off the, oddball ones that we might get, we'll make sure that those sorts of pieces are put in there, but I think we could probably add some language in there around the rentals, around if applicable or something like that.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for that. And I think that's all I had. So great job on it. I really like it.
I have to give kudos to CAO
right.
Barney and Lindsay on that one as well.
That's correct. And so, and there was just one other, sorry. So on item 4.5,
Mhm.
you have in there first right of refusal. I'm just curious if we can change that, take the first right of refusal right out of there. I think that, based on personal experience with some other leases and other contracts, I think that type of language can, get us into a little bit of trouble. Specifically, when the town decides maybe we were going to terminate this lease and that clause is in there, if it ever lands in the courts, then they will side with not the town. So curious if you can change that language, and I think CFO or CEO CAO Barney might have some wording.
Through the chair now, I'm the CFO as well.
I know, sorry, Amber. And I'm
So-
only drinking water.
One of the adjustments might be, those improvements may warrant for the use or implementation of an exclusive negotiation period for a new lease agreement. The intent there is that the parties agree to exclusively negotiate with each other, and it's not opened up to a third party during that time frame for a defined period of time. I'm
To
not sure if that's
negotiate
something-
without the word of use of exclusive, yes.
For an identified negotiation period
Thank you.
for a new, sorry.
That's okay. Sorry, I'm being picky. It's just-
Predetermined, maybe.
Yeah. That's all I had. Any other questions for Director Nash? Would we be comfortable? Like I said, question to council. Are we comfortable with this agreement with those changes? And let's have discussion on that.
Yeah.
Councilor Brennan,
Through the chair. I would make the motion
as amended though.
as amended.
Just before you make the motion,
Sure.
let's give opportunity for discussion. And see if anybody has any discussion they want to add to that. Okay.
Through the,
good, good. Oh, no, Councilor Dustin?
I thought we were going around the table, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to see it all reworded and sent back out, and then sent and given back to council as worded.
To the next council meeting?
If that can work. I'm not sure. It's been a while, like we've been waiting a while for it anyways. What's another 2 weeks?
Okay.
I just like to, physically see it on paper. This is how it's been worded. So,
Okay, I'm not opposed to that. And Russ, I saw you nod your head. That's doable to have it back
That's
with the
doable.
changes to the next council meeting?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Certainly.
I'll wait.
Can you change motion
Sure.
for something like administration to bring back the
Yeah.
changes to the next council meeting?
Yeah, okay. You want a date in there?
Yes,
Yeah, pull up my calendar now.
Lindsay can give you the date.
December 3rd. Um, I move that council uh, direct administration to bring back policy 2023-03, leasing of town-owned facilities and lands for December 3rd with the amendments.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Director Nash. Good job. Okay, item 5.1, 2025 provisional operation budget and 10-year capital budget. Welcome, CFO Boulette. You can start anytime.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Okay. Administration delivered to Council and ratepayers the provisional 2025 operating and capital budget on November 13th and 14th. This included budget presentations that provided detailed information relating to the current economic climate, budget pressures, current and future, comparisons to other municipalities in terms of tax burdens, financial data, and specific drivers and initiatives identified in the 2025 budget. Administration's approach to the budget design was guided by the factors noted here. Inflation, inflationary pressures on materials, labor, and service delivery impacts every aspect of our budgeting process, making it essential to allocate resources in ways that sustain both quality of life and fiscal responsibility. Growth. The town of Crossfield is outpacing all of its municipal comparators when it comes to growth. As our population expands, so does the demand for infrastructure, essential services, and community programs. Asset management. The budget also focuses on enhancing the organization's asset management maturity level, making sure the town's assets, such as roads, utility systems, buildings, and recreational amenities, are well maintained and planning for their repair, replacement, or upgrade in the future. Risk management. Looking at factors such as fluctuation in revenue, potential increases in service costs, economic impacts, regulatory changes, and unforeseen events like natural disasters. By identifying and evaluating these risks, administration developed a budget that includes prioritized spending on critical services and seeks to continue to strengthen financial reserves. Resourcing demands. The town of Crossfield lags in comparison to its municipal comparators in the number of staff it employs to deliver the level of services it provides today. This proves challenging in advancing key priorities that support the operational stability of the town. Service levels and citizen feedback. The budget supports maintaining existing service levels and in some instances improving in service levels. Feedback received from residents, both formally as well as informally, were considered when designing the budget. And all of these factors are underpinned by the financial and operational stability. These are key objectives in the development of the operating and capital budget plans as presented. Financial stability is reflected in maintaining a balanced budget, ensuring sustainable revenue streams, and building reserves to handle unforeseen expenses and revenue shortfalls, while operational stability focuses on the ability to consistently deliver essential services, contributing to a strong and resilient community. Municipal governments fund their operating budgets through a variety of revenue sources. These funds support a wide range of services and activities, including community safety, infrastructure, parks, and community events. The chart on the monitor shows the breakdown of Crossfield's budgeted revenues by type. Taxation revenue represents 46% of the town's revenue. It is the primary source of revenue for the town. Property taxes are assessed on the value of real property. This includes land and buildings within the town. Sales and user fees represent 33% of the town's revenue and are inclusive of various public services such as waste collection, water and sewer charges, and recreational programming and more. Franchise fees make up 8% of the town's revenue. These are otherwise known as local access fees, which is a user fee recovered by electricity and natural gas distribution companies and remitted to the town. The town has an agreement with both ATCO Gas and Fortis to collect franchise fees from utility customers within our municipal boundaries. The budget is prepared on a fiscal viability basis and is designed, monitored, and controlled to achieve a balanced budget, ensuring all budget revenues are sufficient to pay for all expenditures. The 2025 provisional operating budget is reflective of factoring growth in cost impacts. This includes the addition of 3 new staff positions, investment in infrastructure with a focus on asset management, service level changes impacting expense levels, and historical trend analysis to adjust expense estimates to reflect historical levels. Contributions to reserves are at a consistent level than at 2024. The 2025 capital budget of $3.399 million represents a capital budget increase of $1.92 million over the 2024 capital budget. That's a 130% increase investment in asset improvement, renewal, replacement, and acquisition year over year. Examples of the 2025 capital budget include $2.64 million in infrastructure investments and $756,000 towards community services and amenity investment. These investments have long-term benefits to the town and are considered outside of the day-to-day operating budget. The 2025 capital budget is funded through a variety of sources such as provincial and federal grants and reserves, along with other financing tools, with a commitment to maintain a sustainable debt level. The town seeks to utilize funding sources that minimize the overall impact on the community and supports the financial sustainability of the organization. As a reminder to council, there's $1.1 million of capital funding that is coming from previously allocated Canada Community Building Fund grant funds, which will be utilized to fund critical wastewater infrastructure upgrades in 2025. CCBF funding totals 41% of the capital budget. The local government fiscal framework provincial capital grant funding represents 18% of capital funding. Long-term debt represents 8%, and reserves account for 34% of the capital funding. The 2025 operating and capital budgets as presented result in a financial shortfall or revenue gap of $454,211. This is the additional revenue required to balance the operating budget. The revenue gap can be attributed to the following factors. Growth. Approximately $140,000 of the revenue gap is attributed to growth. Growth refers to costing associated services, the growth in the community, both residential and non-residential. Examples of growth-related pressures include increased policing costs, salary and benefit expenses, and additional revenue costs associated with the sale and purchase of municipal water and wastewater services, increased costs of operating the transfer site, handy bus and Marigold Library requisition increases based on population growth. Inflation. Approximately $46,800 of the revenue gap is attributed to inflation. Inflation refers to the rate at which the general level of prices of goods and services rises over a period of time, leading to a decrease in the purchasing power of money. This necessitates budget adjustment to cover higher operating expenses. Examples of inflation-related pressures include the cost increase to service contracts, such as financial audit, insurance premiums, supplies and maintenance costs, as well as the cost of utilities and fuel. One-time projects and initiatives. Approximately $54,000 of the revenue gap is attributed to one-time projects. Projects that typically impact one budget year and are not reoccurring in nature. One-time projects include the 2025 election and costs associated with onboarding new councils, as well as one-time maintenance required for the cemetery. This also includes a decrease related to the NRED grant and census costs. There's approximately $4,000 attributed to the decrease in grant funding, and this is primarily reductions in the anticipated Canada Summer Jobs funding allocations. Asset management represents the largest proportion of the revenue gap at $401,050. Asset management refers to the systematic process of managing, overseeing, and maintaining the town's assets. Costs attributed to asset management include tire replacement on heavy fire apparatus, costs to support annual payments for the replacement of engine 155, and costs to maintain and repair the town's existing infrastructure. These cost increases are offset by areas that administration has identified with cost savings. Service levels changes have resulted in $73,000 in cost savings recognized as the result of service level changes. Service level changes identified include fire services, service level reductions, the implementation of new fees collected for oversized loads, the EPR and the EPR program implementation. Trend adjustment. Adjustment to the operating budget resulting from trend analysis have resulted in approximately $118,000 in cost savings or additional revenue being recognized. Examples include the recognition of increased level on returns on investment and the adjustment to certain maintenance budget lines to align with historical spend levels. All of these factors roll up to the budget revenue gap of $454,211. Highlighted projects and initiatives included in the 2025 budget are investment in recreation and amenities, such as the development of a bike skills park and pump track, funding the Amory Park outdoor rink upgrades and upgrades to Diamond 2 outfield fencing, along with continued investment in walking path renewal. Public safety has been prioritized by replacing engine 155 and the introduction of the Safe Roads Improvement Program. Investment in the town's key infrastructure include upgrades to the utility infrastructure, transportation network, and equipment. And growth is being addressed by the introduction of 3 additional staff positions to ensure the organization keeps pace with rapid population growth. The ratepayer impact. The 2025 council deliberations focused on managing the budget shortfall in a manner that supports the long-term operational and financial sustainability of the organization. The identified strategies sought to find balance between the impacts of maintaining existing service levels while ensuring effective management of the town's assets, with a commitment to set tax adjustments that are both competitive and appropriate for ratepayers. Council identified revenue adjustments that aim to maintain alignment with a 1.4 to 1 tax ratio, supporting an improved allocation of tax burden across classes. 2025 is the third year of the property tax distribution strategy in which non-residential properties will see an increased proportion of the overall tax requirement. The incremental shift to 1.4 times the residential property tax rate brings the non-residential tax ratio closer to our comparator municipalities, which in 2024 is 1.54 to 1. The MGA states the tax ratio must not exceed 5 to 1. While the individual impact on homeowners will be dependent on their assessed values, the typical homeowner will see an increase of approximately $16.06 per month, while a typical non-residential property owner will see approximately $14.46 per month for every $100,000 of assessed value. This increase was recommended after council and administration worked to manage the expenditures in response to municipal growth, infrastructure upgrade requirements, provincial funding uncertainties, and inflationary impacts. Next steps. Administration will present proposed changes to the fees and rates bylaw to council in December 2024. Changes made to the fees and rates will have a favorable impact on the 2025 operating budget. Changes to fees and rates, along with any required budget adjustments due to updated information, will be incorporated in the final budget brought to council in spring 2025, prior to the finalization of the taxation bylaw. So there are 4 recommended motions attached to the report tonight. And they are on the screen. And I'll let you discuss, maybe break now for discussion prior to reading those motions.
Really good. Thanks so much. Questions from council? Councilor Brennan?
Not on this particular one. I think it was very well done.
Okay. Awesome. Councilor Bang?
Nope.
Councilor Knight?
Nope, looks good.
Deputy Mayor?
No, but thank you for doing the additional changes we requested.
Councilor
Um,
Lambert?
I'm good. Wonderful presentation. Thanks, Amber.
And Councilor Guston?
Thank you.
Great.
Hmm.
I don't have any questions, but maybe just some clarification for the public, just on, you know, any of the taxes that aren't municipal taxes, but they're requisitions, and what's the difference, and which ones are they?
Through the chair, that's a really good question. We didn't include that in this presentation. It was touched on briefly, I think, on the first night of our deliberations, but generally on the property tax bill, there's requisition taxes that the town collects on behalf of other parties. Those other parties are the province of Alberta in way of the Alberta school tax,
And BC.
as well as seniors lodging requisition, and that is on behalf of Rockview Foundation. The town does not have control over those rates, what the increases might look like year over year. And basically it's a flow through. So the town collects those taxes on the property tax bill and remits that amount to those parties.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay. Anything else from council? Discussion, questions? We had some great meetings this past week. Thank you for providing such fantastic information, not only to council, but to residents. And I know that the budget book will be available for residents once we finalize our budget. And I think that'll be appreciated. It'll be online as well as a paper copy for those who need to pick one up.
Through the chair, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, if there's no more questions or comments from council, let's move to the motions. So can I get a motion to approve the 2025 provisional operating budget?
Through the chair.
Counselor Knight,
I motion that council approves the 2025 provisional operating budget of $11,237,878, inclusive of the transfers to reserves totaling $1,336,162.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That's motion carried. Can I get a motion to approve the 2025 capital budget?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor,
I motion that council approve the 2025 capital budget of $3,399,776.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And a motion that council approves in principle the 2026 to 28 forecasted operating budget. Now, just before we get to this motion, I did want to add for 2026, 27, and 28 a skateboard park. We've talked about it at this council for many years. Our residents have talked about it probably since before I even moved here in 2007. And I just want to make sure that as I look through the capital budget, there's nothing else that's really earmarked on the recreation side. And I wanted to make sure that we have a balance between, roads and linear and that type of infrastructure and other amenities for a community. And I understand too that this will take a partnership. It won't just be the town contributing dollars, but possibly, sponsors or developers and or working with Rocky View County and applying for grants like we did to get the ice plant. So if council doesn't mind an amendment in the forecasted capital budget, I would like to put in there a skateboard park in 26, 27, and implementation in 28. CEO Barney, please.
Through the chair, thank you, Mayor Harris, for bringing that to our attention. We did have the discussion on that. So we do have a drafted motion for council's consideration if you wanted to implement that. What I would recommend is the making and approval of this motion, followed up by the third motion that's in front of council, and adjusting that third motion to as amended.
Okay.
Procedurally.
Excellent. All right, any discussion on the proposed motion? Okay, no discussion. I'm happy to make that motion that council approves the inclusion of a skateboard park in the 10-year capital plan to be constructed in 2028 for a cost of $900,000. This project will be funded by dedicated transfers to reserve, allocating 26 and 27 for $200,000. With the remaining financial support secured through partnerships. All in favor?
Aye.
This motion carried. Thank you. All right, with that being done, can I get a motion to approve the principal 26-28 forecasted operating budget and the forecasted capital budget?
Through the chair,
As amended. Counselor Lambert.
I move that council approves in principle the 2026 through 2028 forecasted operating budget and the 2026-2034 forecasted capital budget as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And one last one, motion that council approves implementing the Apex supplemental plan for seniors. For senior administration, not seniors. Sorry,
Through the chair.
Counselor Knight.
I motion the council approve implementing the Apex supplemental plan for senior administration only, effective January 1st, 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item 6, mayor and council's business. I've attended 2 mid-sized towns caucus meetings. We will be meeting with Premier Smith this Thursday. And we're looking for support for mid-sized towns on an ongoing basis for funding annually for the 84 mid-sized towns between 1,000 and 14,099 population. So cross your fingers and hope that it goes well, that we get continuous funding for our towns. I continue to meet with the CEO on a weekly basis. And I did stop by at Alliston on Sunday, the new home builder. They're quite lovely. I do like their homes. They have a 2-bedroom bungalow that they've had a lot of interest in with people who want to move here. They indicated that there's a lot of interest from Airdrie to come to Crossfield, so that's nice to see. And we talked a little bit about having a connection with the town and how can they help the town out. And I connected them with our director, Russ Nash, Community Services. Chat about that. So it was a great conversation. Deputy Mayor.
I have nothing further to report.
Councillor Brennan.
I have an upcoming Marigold Library Board meeting on Saturday. Apart from that, nothing further to report.
Councillor Gustafson.
Upcoming Rocky View Foundation tomorrow afternoon.
Councillor Knight.
I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at the high school on November the 8th. It's quite fantastic that they had 3 levels of government there.
Mhm.
They had Blake Richards, Nathan Cooper, and myself. I got to speak after those 2 good guys. So, I did an okay job. They're good. The students in town are pretty lucky to have that many people that attend that from the government level.
Excellent. And Councillor Brennan, anything else to add?
I also attended the elementary school's Remembrance Day ceremony, and it was also very well done.
Thank you. And Councillor Lambert.
I have a MPC meeting on Friday morning. Other than that, nothing further to report.
Okay, and Councillor Bang.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Councillor Brennan.
I move that the council reports be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Uh,
Motion carried. Oh, CEO Barney, outstanding items list 7.1.
Through the chair. Thank you, Mayor Harris. Just one adjustment to the outstanding items list this evening. That would be item 040, the removal of that item, being the engine 155 replacement update, as it has now been approved through budget, and administration will action accordingly. The other item that came forward to council that's represented in the motion council has in front of them is 006. However, that will come back at the December 3rd council meeting with the amendments that were proposed by council this evening.
Any questions for CEO Barney? Ooh, getting off lucky tonight.
Hmm.
All right, there's no questions. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll make the motion that item just 040 is to be removed from the outstanding items list.
All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, there's no further correspondence. And any of the events that are upcoming can be found on the Town of Crossfield website. And that brings us to adjournment.
Through chair.
Councillor Bay,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.